Hello everyone. Welcome back. I can say that to all of us. It's not just to me. Hi. I'll turn on the captions now. Hello Irish Disney Nerd. Hello Joe. Hello Sam's. Hello Deoxyribo. Good to see you all. Happy to be back after, a few weeks away. On my end, it looks like there's a bit of a lag. Let me know if that's how it looks to all of you as well. Feels like the audio is not syncing with my mouth, which is really annoying for me to watch. Don't know how annoying that might be for any of you. How am I feeling? I am feeling well. How are you feeling? Minor lag. Maybe it'll just correct itself at some point. Can I turn this? I have like some extension. That'd be cool if I turned off. Oh, but that would stop the stream. I don't want to stop the stream. Okay. Just seeing what I can do to like conserve some CPU and all of that stuff. But I think it's almost getting better. I'm like watching my mouth as I go. It's okay to Irish Disney Nerd. All right, cool. We're just gonna roll with it and see if it gets better over time. Like an expensive movie that is dubbed. Yeah, there you go. But anyway, hey, welcome to folks who are here right now. I have not posted anywhere about the fact that I am back. Maybe I will on stream at some point. It's been a busy day. It's been a busy few months, really. Yeah, lots of travel and illness and all kinds of things. How have all of you been? How have your weeks without Monday co-crafting been? Unless you're co-crafting on other streams, which is great. Am I on the mend? Yes, I'm feeling much better. I still have a little bit of a cough here and there. Not in any big way. And honestly, at this point, it could also be allergies. It feels a little different. For folks who don't know, I had bronchitis in the spring. Today is officially the second day of summer, so I can say back in the spring. And it was really, really bad. And took a while to recover, like, stamina from as well. And I've had a lot going on. I'll probably cough a little bit more on this stream than I cough in my normal life, because I noticed that when I talk a lot, I cough a little bit more. In addition to traveling way more than I have in years and getting sick and working on moving, I've also started rehearsals for a show that I'm in, and we were like up on our feet doing a scene for the first time. It's early rehearsals, and I just kept coughing. Every time we did the scene, I kept getting like a cough, and it was not good. I mean, not good just in a I didn't want it to happen kind of way. I wasn't like coughing uncontrollably. I just didn't want any coughs happening. So I definitely still have a little bit of a cough, and hopefully that goes away before the show opens. We'll see. Oh yeah, Irish Disney Nerd. I've heard that it is hot and also some storms happening maybe in the UK. There's been a lot of rain here as well. Not particularly hot, but lots of rain today. Rain on and off yesterday. Weird weather. Trying to get used to New England summers where yesterday was the first day of summer and I think our low was in the 50s. It did get warm, especially in the sunshine, but it is funny as someone from Texas to be like, oh, it's summertime, and the low was literally in the 50s. Wow, very different than the southern US. Let's go ahead. Let's start working on the warm-up. The warm-up spool shelf. Why don't we? Let's see. Can I get it to focus more on the bottom here? That'd be nice. It just wants to focus on the waffle guy. But you know what? Fair. Don't we all? We all want to focus on the waffles. I think that the few of you who are here all know what the deal is, but just in case, here's a little bit of info. Maybe. That command apparently isn't working. Let's double check. Did I do it right? I did. Maybe I just... Cloudbot was deactivated. Oh, Tom, thanks so much for the resub. Perfect timing as we start working on the spool shelf. Twitch, baby, yeah. I'm so glad that you're using the founding member badge because I realized that June is 9 months for anyone who has been a subscriber since I first made affiliate. And I have not updated the 9-month badge yet. Although look at that beautiful 6-month badge that Sarah has. That's how nice the 9-month one will look, but with something a little bit more. And I just haven't designed it yet. But yes, I am alive, Sarah. Welcome into the chat. I am alive. And Cloudbot is now turned on. So I can put that in the chat now. Or not. I thought I activated it. I had to double click. This is the whole double monitor thing. You have to double click sometimes. I'm just gonna keep typing this in the chat, and it's never gonna... Oh, this is weird. Okay, no, I am clicking it, and then it's turning itself back off. Oh, interesting. Maybe I need to reconnect my Twitch account. It's like active, and then I go over here, and it's no longer active. I'm gonna try refreshing and see what happens. Does it stay active? Whoa, Sarah, thanks so much for the resub and for the hype train getting started. Nice. Thanks, everyone, as I just sit here trying to make my commands work. I even put a command in the title today, so we gotta get these working. There we go. All right, finally working. Speaking of putting something in the title today, that'll be more relevant once we move on to the main event tonight of cross-stitching the book tracker. But for now, that's what's up with the spool shelf, and now we got 2 resubs to add to this as well. Hey, thanks for the bits, Hazel. Was like, I'm digging in the back of my brain to remember people's names. Okay, let's go. What's on the needle already? Let's see what's on the needle already. Ooh, it is the dark brown for... Ugh, come on. The dark brown for resubs. So let's start with some of those. If I can get this going the way I want it to go, bam, that's good. That'll work. And I find my needle without looking at it. Okay, here we go. Let's do a stitch for Tom for resubbing. Thank you so much to Tom. Very much appreciate the support, including the support for the spools here on the pattern. And here is one for Sarah, who also says she's gonna wait to share until I get to my book tracker cross stitch, but news/updates. Okay, very excited to find out what that means. We will hear shortly. Okay, so thank you so much. Those are our 2 resubs on there. Maybe this will help if I do this. And then this stand is great in so many ways, and I still am not super used to it because I thought I would use it more like for my own casual stitching, you know, on the sofa and whatnot, and I just really haven't. I use it mostly just on stream, and I do like it because it gets it up closer to the camera, but it's a little bit fiddly, as my grandmother would say. Okay, so let's get... come on, focus on something, camera. Let's try to get the spools made. There we go. Well, at least you can see that. That's something. Can I move that up a little bit? Okay. Catch up on the chat a little bit. Oh, it's Irish's birthday. I missed that when I was trying to get the commands to work. Let's go back up. Okay, as Irish's birthday, happy birthday for the next 50 minutes. T-minus 50 minutes. Peter Pan afternoon tea, and then went to see Paddington the Musical. I don't think I even realized that was a musical right now. That's very exciting. I hope you're having a wonderful little birthday trip. Thanks for popping in at the end of your birthday to spend a little time with us here on Twitch. Have a very happy birthday week. Sarah also asked, am I fully healed? I pretty much am. Oh, thank you, Mikey, for the resub. Thank you so much for that. There's a lot going on my screen in the chat with all of this, which is very exciting, but makes it hard for me to catch up with all of the chat. But yeah, thank you, Mikey. Happy birthday, Irish. And yes, Sarah, I am feeling better. Obviously, I'm clearing my throat and coughing a little bit here and there, but I feel fine. Joe got a stand sofa for stitching. Okay, yeah, that sounds quite cool. I've looked into those. The one that I have here, I've shown it before. Let me just switch this to manual for now. If I can. You gonna let me? There we go. Yeah, so the stand that I have, it can either be desktop or it can be the kind that you kind of like sit on. You like put it between your legs and sit on it. So I felt like for my needs, that was a good kind of hybrid situation. Patting the Musical's having a Broadway opening this season. Wow, cool. Thanks for the welcome back, Mikey. I'm gonna blame the planets for the tech issues. Yeah, camera. No, who can focus on Monday? I did not focus well today. That is for dang sure. Oh, and Hazel gets to see Olivia and another Epic Human perform next month. That's awesome. I'm going. Wait, no, I'm not. I was about to say I'm going to see Olivia and I think our friend Joe with his band Downtown Boys this week, but I'm not. I am missing both of his shows that are close to me. I am, however, hanging out with his brother, so that's what I'm doing instead. 1, 2, 3. What am I doing? We are starting a new spool here while I carry on 7 different conversations with folks. But thank you all. It's exciting to see everyone again and get to hear on everyone's updates and what you've all been doing. America, please look after this bear. That's funny. I feel like I had so many trains of thought, and now they're leaving my brain very rapidly. But I did this right? 1, 2, 3 in between. 1, 2, 3. This is exciting. We haven't started a new row in a while. So I don't know. That's always exciting to start a new row. Oh, thanks for the link, Joe, to the. I assume this is the stand frame that you have. I'm gonna look at that real quick. How's the lag between video and audio for folks, by the way? Because it's still pretty bad for me. I'm not really sure what to do about that, but it's a little bit annoying on my end. Oh. No, this is I think this is the same one that I have, Joe. Yeah, this is the one I'm currently using. I'm pretty sure. Sarah, you were without power for 4 days? Oh my gosh. That was the storm that, like, I don't think it was my last stream. You were, like, waiting on it? You were in tornado watch or something? Or was it a different one? Either way, wow. Okay, bummer that the lag is happening. If anyone has advice on things that I might do, anything that might help, we can try it. We can try it all, except not really because, you know, sorry, I'm like looking at all different things. Some things would mean we have to stop the stream. There's no lag for Tom. That's fascinating. Yeah, Sarah, I used to live in the part of the U.S. where there were a million storms, and it was like, I don't know, could have been this tornado, could have been this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's the correct amount. Kev, I'm trying to think of the last time that I saw Paul. I think it was more recently than that. But there's a lot of people that I haven't seen since like 2019 because pandemic and assorted other things. For folks who don't know, I used to be very involved in a fandom that we do now not touch, which means I have lots and lots of friends that I used to see many times a year, or at least once a year, and have not seen many of them since before the pandemic. Oh my gosh, Twitch is making me like open things so that they stop blocking my chat so I can see what you're all saying. And Tom, yes, okay, Dan and Phil going on a world tour. Yeah, I'm gonna be very curious how much tickets are for the world tour. I signed up for the text alerts for the secret announcement that we were all pretty sure was a tour and is indeed a tour. But I actually saw it on Instagram before I got the text, which is unlike me because I am not on Instagram that often. And I think there's a couple of different shows that I could maybe make it to. None of them are very close to me. I think most likely I probably just won't go, which will be a little bit sad. I've never been to one of their tours. I have been to Dan's solo show, or rather, I went to that, which I very much enjoyed. It was lots and lots of fun. But yeah, I've never been to one of their tours together. I think it would be very fun, but since none of them are that close to me, I think it'll really depend on ticket prices, and my guess is that the tickets are going to be more than I want to pay right now. But we'll see. For anyone else who is a fan of Dan and Phil to the extent of maybe wanting to go to their tour, tickets go on sale Friday at noon in your time zone. So you can look out for those if that's something you're interested in. Yeah, Tom, you should go. By the way, I've watched some of your like I watched your short about Dan changing your life. You've made a few videos, right, about like Dan and Phil, and I keep meaning to watch them all. I'm so behind on all YouTube right now. But I was like, ooh, I bet I'm gonna relate to a lot of this, and I wanna watch it. But I also feel like you're very much in, even more so in your era of like, yeah, you gotta go on this tour. You gotta go. Okay, Sarah says, YouTube recently introduced me to Lucy Darling. Lucy Darling sounds familiar. Is that just because it's such a, like, British sounding name? Or do I know Lucy Darling? Tell me a little bit about Lucy Darling, Sarah. I would like to know. Okay, is this the correct color? That looks about right. As you can see on the screen, I am 1 follower away from my 175 goal. However, I don't think I had more than 5 follows since the last stream, which makes sense because I haven't really been streaming, and I haven't been promoting streaming. This is not going to do anything for me. That is far too small. But I still like this as a little ritual, even if I'm not changing the color from week to week, because I think it's still fun just to, like, mark how many streams that I have done. And, of course, for all the, like, resubs and subs, that's very fun. Oh, okay, you've made 3. No, yeah, I very much have wanted to watch them. And I will, at some point. I'll talk a little bit later when we get into book tracker stuff about one reason that I am, excuse me, behind on YouTube. One reason is just generally being busy with life. But I have other reasons that I have not been watching as much YouTube lately. Excuse me. Okay, so Lucy Darling has red hair. Dresses super fancy, does stand-up comedy and great crowd work and some magic. Okay, so I don't think I know her. Maybe I've come across like one short or something, but she sounds very cool. I will have to look into Lucy Darling. And Lucy Darling is also doing a world tour or some level of international tour, it sounds like. Oh, also, I gotta do Mikey's little stitch. Okay, Mikey, well, let's do it right now. No, I just threaded this. Never mind. We're gonna do it after, after the red. So let's do the thread on the spool, and then we will go back and do Mikey's stitch on the shelf. Thanks for the resub, Mikey. Oh, nice. Well, good for Lucy Darling. That's incredible when you have, like, to be able to do a world tour of anything is a huge accomplishment. Oh no. I made the spool too big. My spool's too big. My spool is too big. Anyone else watch rejected cartoons back in the day, early YouTube? Do I just keep this whole one too big? Thank you, Deoxyribo. We're on the same wavelength. I am a banana. So good. I might have to rewatch that later. Those are really good. They're also burned into my brain from high school. I'm gonna make a poll so you can all help me decide. Do I keep the long spool or do I redo it? Alright, there's the poll. Manage poll. New poll. Okay, I'm gonna have 2 minutes on the poll. Which is perfect timing, because allegedly an ad will start in 2 minutes, but I don't know how much I trust Twitch on that these days. Yeah, Kev, you should absolutely, let's see, try to get friends together and all go together. It does seem like a really fun time for, like, groups of friends to go together, or to make new friends. The Bleeding Cloud. Tom welcomes all spool body sizes. That's very nice. Not a matter of acceptance, is how much we want, how much work we want me to do. Yep, fair. Let's see, what's winning so far? Long spool is winning at the moment. Oh, Joe, you're throwing my life lessons back in my face. One of the first things that I taught you was being chill with your mistakes. It's true, it's true. Do you choose chaos, Sarah? I mean, that's up to you. You gotta make the decision. Well, have a very happy birthday, Irish Disney Nerd. Go get some sleep. Sounds like you've done lots and lots of stuff. So, definitely need to go get some rest and some sleep. Thanks for popping in before you went to bed. Frog it and make it longer. No, you're not doing that. Certainly not. Oh man, okay, the poll is getting close. I mean, not really in terms of percentage, but in terms of people who have voted, it feels slightly close. And I think we've got maybe like 10 seconds or so left in the poll. So if you haven't voted yet, get your votes in. And it's done. Long spool wins. Okay, great. I have to say, I don't love how that's gonna look, but in this moment, energy-wise, very much here for it. I am very happy with that decision, so thank you all. A monochrome spool. It is already one color. Great. Well, that's what we're doing. Okay. Long spool, long spool. Next one, will it also be longer? Oh, you know, that was a great question, Sarah, and I'm sorry I didn't clarify for people in case that affected your votes. My thought was, yes, I would keep all of the ones in this spool the same extra long length. And we'll just have to deal with it. Looks like an ad is gonna start a little bit soon. Sorry, Tom, and to anyone else who was voting for one singular large spool. I just think that will throw things off too much. Well, I don't know. I guess I can wait until next stream to decide. Maybe I will just be this one. I feel like the shelf would be weird. Oh, but they could all sit in line, and it could be from the top that they're not as tall. I mean, I think there's possibilities here. We can workshop this, and we can decide next week. Hazel, thanks so much for the resub. Okay, we'll have 2 little resub stitches to add in. After I finish the long spool. It's gonna take even longer because of the long spool. Could make a shelf with a step. I could do that. 1 tall boy and then smaller ones. Actually, I'm coming around to that idea. I think I might like that idea. That is also a good point, Joe, of it would be a time to remember this moment. Remember how much fun we had with the one accidental long spool. We can pinpoint the time based on that. We can look back at these and be like, June 2026, the time of the long spool. Final shelf should just have like a 40 stitch tall. We don't want to think about the final one, though, because that would mean the end of my Twitch streams. Tiny pumpkin instead of spool. Well, now we're just going real chaos, aren't we? I think I probably did consider tiny pumpkins or something like that when I was trying to come up with what this sort of, like, tracker project would be. I'm sure I did. I mean, I think of pumpkins as the first, like, symbol for everything. Long spool! Long live long spool. One of the pre-long spool streams. Yeah, never forget. This is a turning point in my streaming. Everything after this is post long spool. You'll have to do the, like, you know, instead of BC, it'll be BLS, before long spool. And ALS after, well, maybe not ALS, that's not good. Well, just like AD is a little bit different from BC, we'll come up with something else. Maybe just AS, after spool. Which sounds like after school. I don't hate that. Post long spool. Oh, that could be it. PSL. Oh, PLS. PLS. So not a pumpkin spice latte. But that's okay. We still love things even when they're not pumpkin spice lattes. It's not their fault. Okay, let's go back to... I keep flipping this over and then reflipping it, flipping it over. Let's do some subscriber shelf stitches. Wait, Allison, that's really good. Someone's long in the tooth and now we're long in the spool. Yeah. Going on a year, we're now long in the spool. Oh wait, I missed Sarah's, what about doing a really tall one first in a row so you can do one shorter spool each week? So the last one only has 1 row of color. Huh. I'll have to think about that one. Yeah, give it a year and you can all say, oh, we were here pre-long spool. You don't even know what it was like back then. Alright, so here is a stitch for Mikey. Thank you so much for resubscribing tonight. Very much appreciate it. And we got a stitch for Hazel. Hazel rocking the pumpkin seed sprouting subscriber badge. Love to see it. Bam. Thank you both so much for supporting the stream and supporting the spools, including the long spool. Just wait for whoever gets to be the first subscriber to support the shelf under the long spool. What an auspicious honor that will be. Is that... I don't know if that's the right adjective, but what an honor it will be. Joe, that sounds like a great cross-stitch for your project manager friend in particular. Also, welcome back from the ads. I think most folks here were not gone for the ads. Sorry that I just kept on yapping through the ads. I'm gonna... One of my many Twitch goals is to get a little bit better at ad management and maybe just taking breaks myself. Maybe I'll do, like, fewer ads that are longer and I'll take little breaks during the ads. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, because I think it's good. I don't like people to feel left out, because I don't like putting a lot of things behind paywalls, but I also know that, like, people are subscribing and maybe want a little extra things. You know, part of the advantage to subscribing is not having ads, so I go back and forth on strategy for that. How many shelf stitches are needed to get to the long spool? So a normal one is 9. This would be 12. I'm not sure if that's what your question was, Hazel, but that's how many stitches are in these. Stay in spool, kids. Exactly. Stay in spool. Well, I think it is time to move on to the book tracker, cross stitch, which is not a pattern by me. I need to update. The warm-up is a pattern by me, but this is not. What is it? I know her name. I know her name. I can put it here. Come on. Come on, OBS. Do what I want. Not, you can all watch me type, I think. Great. Okay, so that's correct now. Oh, how much shelf to get to that spool? Oh, that's something I did know at one point in time, and then I think I messed up the numbers that I laid out for myself when I kind of designed this warm-up pattern. So, I mean, I guess I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 35, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 41, 47. Okay, so this row would be a clean 47, and then 5, 9, 36, and 47 is 83? Is that right? That seems too low, maybe? Yeah, thanks, Sarah. 83. Okay, if we both got there, that's what I'm going to say. So I think 83 stitches to get to the long spool. Do I want to trust this computer? Yes, I do. Yes, thank you for that. Okay, I gotta get my pattern open before I connect the iPad, because I'm doing lots of gift cross stitches right now. I don't want to accidentally reveal them anywhere. Actually, I'm maybe only doing one, but I still don't want to reveal it, you know? I do have one that I've thought about I could maybe do on stream, because I feel like the people I'm making it for, yeah, save, sure. Don't watch my stream, but, like, they could pop in. They definitely know about it, so I should probably not risk it. Why is this not showing up yet? Sure. There we go. Yes, iPad, that's what we want. Nope, it's gone again. Well. 3 stitches pre-spool on the shelf. I did count those, yes. I mean, Sarah, that is true. Oh, also my camera's weird now. Lots of things are going weird on OBS at the moment. I think that part of it would be obvious, but I think there would be like several people in my life who would not know if it was for them or for someone else. Okay, let's try this again. So we can at least get this to work. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And now let's see what happened here. Why did the camera get so small? I don't know, maybe must be a FaceTime issue. Oh, now it's really small. But that actually might help with buffering. We shall see. I am attempting to close some things and see what I can get rid of to make this lag a little not as bad. Browser source hardware acceleration. The stream showing how sad it was I was away for so long. I'm sorry, stream. Higher, less CPU. Let's try that. We'll find out. Oh, nice. Working on gifts for a bunch of people you'll be seeing next month, but today working on a Lego set for a friend. Yeah, what is everyone else working on? I didn't even ask earlier. What are folks working on while you watch today, if anything? Okay, I'm very tempted to try something to get rid of this lag that I think would stop the stream for a minute. So I think I'm gonna do it, but you might need to refresh. Maybe you can just stay here. Maybe you'll need to refresh. But yeah, the lag is it's both a little annoying to me, and I know to a few of you, but I think it's also making my computer really heave, and so I would like my computer to not be working so hard. So I'm gonna try one thing, and yeah, you might need to refresh, or if you just wait a little bit, it might work. If you're watching on mobile, you know, might need to kind of go in and out of the stream. And then we'll talk about all of these fun things that you're all doing while you watch today. But so we're gonna try this. Are you sure you want to stop the stream? Okay. Hopefully I'll see you all in just a moment. So that is off. Okay. I don't think that helped at all. But let me know if you're all back and what happened. Bummer. Oh, no, it's here. Okay. So this is going to be a problem for another time. I think I need to uninstall this extension that I have. I thought I could turn it off, but apparently I can't. Yeah, but give me some kind of... Let me know in the chat somehow if you all can see me. Apparently I have 0 viewers, so that's not reassuring. Okay, I think you're back. Tom can see me, Joe can see me, and hear me. Wow. Amazing. Sarah as well. Sarah, who's just finished dinner and now gonna start on a gift to her mom, or maybe another Hanklerfish. Love the Hanklerfishes. Okay, great. Sorry that didn't really seem to work, but thank you all for being here. So let's go back up. Mikey's working on spaghetti dinner. That sounds delicious. Joe's finishing up a duck cross stitch. So many duck cross stitches, Joe. I assume this is a different duck one than from before. And starting a cute autumn fox for Mikey. Oh, very fun. Foxes just feel so autumnal, so that I look forward to seeing that design at some point. We're probably not doing a show and tell tonight, just as a heads up for everyone. We probably not be doing one. I'm gonna end right about at 8 because I gotta go do things. But I look forward to seeing that in the future. Let's see. Tom is making a Lord of the Rings / Hobbit cross stitch for a friend's birthday. Didn't realize how big it was and have had to take the stitching all the way to the edge. Yes, I've been there many, many times. But Lord of the Rings / Hobbit design sounds very fun. Oh, the ducks. It's the same ducks, and I didn't know that was for your dad. You probably mentioned that, but that's very fun. Hi, Sam. No worries about lurking. Thanks so much for popping in. And yes, please go to bed, get some rest. I hope you have a great night. It was good to briefly see you, and I'm glad you got to watch for a little bit. Sarah saw a fox recently on your street. Wow. Wow, I haven't even put the new the new pattern on here. Yeah, Tom, I similar to Joe, I'm also curious about the pattern. I would love to see it. I think I'm gonna steal this needle from the spool shelf. I need to tighten this a bit, I think. Okay, so this is the book tracker that I'm trying to get into the stand. Come on, there we go. Just gotta shove it more. That's the real answer here. So this is a pattern designed by the Stir Crazy Crafter, and it's very cool and fun. And maybe I'll just zoom out a little bit. So it's basically, you get to use it as a book tracker or reading tracker. It's a little mini bookshelf, and there are a lot of different ways to do it. If you buy it from the Stir Crazy Crafter on her website or her Etsy shop, which are both Stir Crazy Crafter, you get all of these like printouts with like the pattern and with instructions and with different methods that you can use for however you want to organize it. And this is, I think, my 3rd year doing it, and I like to organize by genre. So all the different colors that you see are color coded by genre for the books that I have been reading. And I'm very behind. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books that I need to add to the shelf tonight, and also do some backstitching on the others. I'm gonna try to go back into autofocus and see if that works for now. Yeah, so we're gonna do a little bit of that. I'll talk more about it. I was about to say, Sarah, you're the other one who uses the same book tracker, right? And wow, here's your big update. You finished your 2026 book tracker already. That's incredible. Oh, my closed captions did not come back on when we restarted the stream. So let's see. Is that working? Yep, that's working now. Congratulations. So by finished it, does that mean that you like hit your reading goal for the year and now you don't have any space left on your bookshelf? I believe you were the one with a very fun idea that you can just like pile up books beside it in the way you would in real life. So is that what you're gonna do now, or are you just like, I'm done reading? I'm done. I assume that's not what you're actually doing. Yeah, I have finished a phenomenal amount of books in the last few months since I did this on stream. I don't think I've added to this like off stream at all. But yeah, maybe let me get myself situated with the first color that I'm doing, and then I'll yap a bit. So I need to first do Where Did Everybody Go by Don Martin, which I decided was just, I have a new catch-all category of social, political, economic. So that's going to cover the first 2 titles that we're doing. And for that one, we are doing this kind of burnt orange kind of color, Go Longhorns. So that will be our first color. And I do not completely follow always like the pattern that Stir Crazy Crafter has here. I sometimes mix it up a little bit just based on I don't know, sometimes I read a really short book and I'm like, I don't want this to be one of the bigger books that's in the patterns, and I'll do silly things like that. So yeah, this one should definitely be I'll just make it a little bit smaller. Actually, both of these, no, the next one was kind of big. Okay, so Sarah says, yes, I've surpassed my reading goal for 2026 by 5 books. So by the end of June, you'll add the extras to the side and then do a new one for the second half of 2026. I think that sounds like a great plan. And perfect timing, too, like halfway through the year. Wow, well done. I keep forgetting how many books I've completed this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 17. I think I'm at 17. My like soft goal was 20. This pattern is for 24, I think. So that's always sort of like, oh, my stretch goal is 24. But it's halfway through the year, and I have finished 17 books already. I think I'm probably going to slow down a little bit. In particular for one reason that I'll mention in a minute. So I don't think that I'm going to get to, what would that be, like 34? But I think I will definitely surpass my goal. And if I surpass 24, then I can do the little piling up on the side thing, which would be super, super fun. So the reason that I have read so many books, I was already doing a good job at completing books, not just necessarily like starting and finishing a whole other book. But I was doing a good job at completing books for a reason that I will say after I reply to Sarah was, am I slowing down because I'm writing another book? Boy, I wish. I mean, I am writing another book. And that's slightly why. I just dropped a needle. I think I need some kind of alert for when I drop needles. We need something to happen. Fortunately, I can see this one easily. Come on. I am doing a lot of reading for the book that I'm writing, and I need to be doing even more reading for it, and more writing. Yeah. That's a whole thing right now. So I am writing another book, but that is not the only thing that will keep me from completing as many books in the second half of the year as I have this half of the year. I found the hay in my needle stack. Exactly. Okay, so let's zoom back in now. And see if it will focus as much. No, it's still not going to focus the way that I want. That's going to be good enough for now. So, when I worked on this book tracker, I don't know, a couple months ago, on stream, I talked about my new strategy for reading for this year. And it has become now one of many strategies for reading. And stacking all these strategies on top is how I have read so many more books than I usually do. Or again, I should specify, completed more. So the strategy I discussed last time is that I am now not letting myself read a new book until I have finished a book I never completed before. So I read a lot of nonfiction, and sometimes I don't finish those books. It takes me longer to read them, and so then I might get distracted reading something else and not go back to that book even though I really want to. It's not like a DNF did not finish kind of situation where I didn't like it. I really, really liked it. It's just a lot of nonfiction is a little denser, a little bit more challenging. It takes me longer to get through, and in the meantime, I might get excited about another nonfiction book or about a novel. And so I don't go finish it. And so I've got like a list of all of the books that I started and haven't finished, and I have been trying to alternate between a brand new book and a book that I didn't finish. So a number of the ones that are like on here were books that I started as many as 5+ years ago, and I finished them this year. And so that's really exciting. And I think that also like that helps me read or be able to add more completed books to the book tracker count for the year, because I already read maybe half of it already. It is quite a bit of self-restraint, and I will say it's falling apart a little bit right now, in particular because of the other strategies that have come into play. One of them is audiobooks. I've never been like a anti-audiobook person. I've always listened to audiobooks like on occasion here and there, but it has now become a real big thing that I do, to the detriment of listening to podcasts and watching YouTube, which are two things that I usually do a lot of. I'm very much like, if I'm walking around the house, I'm doing chores, I'm watering the garden, like I'm going for a walk, I'm driving, I'm often listening to a podcast. I was about to say, or watching a YouTube video, more often podcast, definitely not watching a YouTube video while I'm driving. But now I've, for the moment, replaced that almost entirely with audiobooks. And the thing that I cracked for audiobooks for me, everyone like retains information in different ways and, you know, reads in different ways. So audiobooks really work better for some people than others. And for me, I don't retain the information as well when it's an audiobook. And so I don't usually like doing novels unless it's a reread, because I think especially as a writer, even though I read novels faster than I read nonfiction, like I really want to absorb everything. I want to be able to analyze the language and that kind of thing, which I can't do as well with an audiobook. And then with nonfiction, I'm often like, I'm annotating, I'm taking it slow, I'm making sure I understand it all. And so, yeah, audiobooks never super worked for me for those, but I have such an extensive TBR, like so many books that I want to read. I'm always hearing about books, like I'll just, you know, see them on, someone posts about them, I'm like, oh my god, I would love to read that book. But it's not something that's like at the top of my TBR in terms of wanting to read it, and it's not something that's like on a research list for my next book or for a project. And so I finally was like, what if those books are like the sweet spot of audiobooks for me? So it's like mostly nonfiction, but it's nonfiction that I can listen to on the level I would listen to a podcast. Because a lot of the podcasts I listen to are like history and like fun facts kind of things, like, you know, stuff you should know. I love podcasts like that. And nonfiction audiobooks on a topic that like has no stakes for me is very similar. And it's kind of working. I think I have finished a handful where I'm like, ooh, I wish I had retained that a little bit more. I do like that the Libby app has like a bookmark function, so I sometimes will bookmark and then like go back to those places before I return the book, because I just listen to all of my audiobooks through Libby, through my library. But yeah, I think it's really working for me, of like I'm at least getting to kind of passively listen to a whole category of books that honestly I probably just would never have gotten to otherwise, because they're not high priority for me. And so I think like a little passive listen where I maybe didn't retain as much as I want to is better than never ever reading it. So that has been very fun. That's my audiobook thing. Let me check in a little bit on the chat. Hazel used to reread certain books annually. Last year, instead of that, reread every Hank and John book in between every new book. That's really fun. I'm doing a little rereading this year. I like a reread a lot. Okay, so yeah, Hazel, similar to me, of like with a busy schedule, audiobooks are sometimes the only way to go. But Tom is also a visual learner. Either listen to books I've already read with my eyes or read them after I listen. Yeah, and I will say there's a couple, I think audiobooks are turning a little bit into a similar thing of ebooks for me, which is like I'll get through them really quick And then I might want to like get a physical copy from the library just so I can flip back through and like look at a few things that are harder to revisit in audio or ebook form when they're available from the library. Often I'm only getting an ebook because the physical wasn't available from the library. But yeah, that's kind of my strategy with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm sharing this in case it's helpful to anyone else. And also, I always think other people's reading habits are interesting, even if they don't work for me. But yeah, I think if you are also someone who listens to a lot of kind of like educational podcasts or educational YouTube channels, then this might work for you too. Of just think of a nonfiction audiobook as kind of like a podcast. Okay, now I think we're gonna move into some lying down books. So this bottom one, even though it's a very short book. No, it's not. I keep thinking it's a different book than it is. Okay, I will tell you more of my reading strategies in a moment, but first, this was the first audiobook I think I did with this new strategy, this little orange one that we just did. And that was the book Where Did Everybody Go by Don Martin. Those of you who are on social media have maybe come across Don Martin on Instagram before. He makes a lot of Instagram videos on like current event topics, often grounded in like LGBTQ or like books and media literacy, but also just kind of about whatever. Yeah, Don just kind of came up like on the algorithm for me at some point. And I always knew he was an author, but I mistakenly thought he only wrote like middle grade or something. And turns out he's written across the like age reading levels and across genre. I think he does have like his first book, I think was middle grade or YA. But he also wrote this like adult nonfiction book kind of about the loneliness epidemic. And it was fascinating and for some reason seems to only be available in audiobook form. I can't seem to find a listing of it as a textual book anywhere, which I know happens with some books these days. So yeah, that was like I listened to this one in an audiobook because I could only find it as an audiobook. And I really enjoyed it. And he does the narration, which I think when you follow someone like on social media who makes videos, it's always very fun when they narrate their own book. So I just felt like listening to a really long video of his, which as I say that, I realize people have told me about my audiobook. But it's very fun. It was like, I feel like I listened to his book mostly while I was taking walks. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm just listening to this Instagram person I like talk to me for an hour. But yeah, it was really good. It talked a lot about like it kind of debunked a lot of the things that we discuss or that like get said about the alleged loneliness epidemic, and was sort of like actually this insert example has been happening for decades and pre-internet. But then it also got into like, okay, if we've debunked all of these, then like what is actually happening? Why do we feel this big lack of community? Why do we all feel so lonely and have all of these other like health problems from that? And yeah, it was really interesting, and it was like a quick and easy kind of read that was still thoughtful and well researched. So would recommend. And as I'm talking about the books that I've read, I will, or you can at any point, do the command in the title today, which is my bookshop storefront. I haven't used Goodreads in years. I try to divest from Amazon where I can. Yes, I understand the irony of saying that on Twitch as an affiliate. But I started just like keeping track of my recent reading on Bookshop. I am also a Bookshop affiliate, so if you happen to buy any of the books from that link, I will get a little bit of a kickback, so just a disclosure there. But mostly I'm using it much less as like, click my affiliate link, and more just as that felt like a nice place to publicly show what I've been reading in case anyone is interested, because that was always a fun thing with Goodreads. And bookshop.org, for people who don't know, supports independent bookstores. You can like pick the independent bookstore you want to get their own little kickback from shopping, or you can sort of shop through them. So it's a great site if you are also trying not to support big corporations as much. Yes, I know a lot of people who use Storygraph. I have never gotten onto Storygraph because when I left Goodreads, I just went entirely to my own customized Notion database that I built out. So I was doing everything just privately, and I felt like I got everything I needed from that, except for a couple of things that I use Bookly for, because I like to time how many minutes and how many pages I read per day for my own personal data nerd kind of thing. But neither of those are public. And I don't want them to be public. But the one thing I wanted to be public was kind of like sharing what I do read. But that is, I always love hearing that people are using Storygraph because I very much am like, yes, Goodreads alternative. And it seems like Storygraph has really, really grown in recent years. So I love that for all of you and for the world. Does anyone know where I put my scissors? Because I cannot find them. I found them. Update. Quick update. Found the scissors. Anyways, so yeah, and Bookshop is not really built to be done this way. It's just as an affiliate, I have a storefront, and they're like, make lists to recommend to, you know, people who might buy books. And I was like, I'm just gonna use that to say what I've been reading recently. So I'm not using any of the apps the way I'm supposed to. I am just a rebel. Right there under the things. Oh my god, Hazel, you were so right. That's where they were. Oh no. So I just opened iTunes somehow. Oh no. And it was an old podcast of my own that was playing. I don't even know how. I don't use iTunes. It's not even called iTunes anymore. But you know, sometimes when you try to open a file on your computer, and if you use a Mac, and it defaults to opening the audio file in iTunes, and then it just like stays living in iTunes forever. And because I don't use iTunes, I don't have anything else in there. So somehow I pressed a shortcut on my keyboard that opened iTunes, and then it played the last thing that was in there, which was one of my own podcasts, which was not something I was listening to. I think it was just like a file I clicked on to try to do something else with, and it opened in iTunes. I'm starting to sound ancient with the way that I use technology and have issues with it, but there we are. So that last book that I just did that was laying down, that was the book, and let me check the author before I say it. That was the book Bad Company, Private Equity and the Death of the American Dream by Megan Greenwell. So that was another nonfiction audiobook that I listened to. That was a longer one and a denser one, very like business journalism. But I really liked it. I know nothing about the author Megan Greenwell. I think I just heard about this book at one point, and I was like, yeah, private equity sucks. I don't know that much about it. I don't understand that much about it, so I'm going to listen to this whole book about it. And what was really fun about this book is that it profiled 3 different people who had worked for companies that were bought out by private equity. So throughout the book, you kept hearing, like, following their stories. One of them worked for Toys R Us. One of them worked for, like, a local hospital. And one of them, I don't know how to describe what she worked for, but it was more about housing. So it was like private equity in like housing, hospitals, and retail, and just, you know, fascinating and horrifying and depressing of all the ways private equity is ruining people's lives and destroying so many like facets of our society that we used to love and cherish. So if you want to learn more about private equity or just hear some like personal narratives from people who have been deeply affected by it, I recommend Bad Company by Megan Greenwell. Hazel, have you been talking to Ren about your most recent comment about an app to upload private friend vlogs? Because I know that's something that they've been thinking about a lot, and that, yeah, exactly. I was like, I filled out that survey. I talked to them briefly about that. To try to make this side chat relevant to everyone, as I talk more and more about desiring private social media and private, just private social internet. Like I like private Discord channels and group chats and private photo streams and all those things. I do still like making public content, and I don't see myself making vlogs and videos just for my friends. That's something where if I'm putting that effort in there, I want like as many people to see it as possible, to see who can get something out of it and who can share things back with me and that sort of thing. I did, however, for the first time this weekend, start a close friends Instagram story, just for like a very small selection of, sort of like family and very close friends in my life. And for years, I haven't done that because I've been like, my social media has always been so public and has often been like my job and my livelihood that I don't even understand how to use social media like a normal person. And so when the close friends feature started, I was like, I don't know how to use that. I don't think I would. I think any of my energy into like sharing things online goes into content strategy publicly. But I think I'm starting to have things in my life that I'm like, I do want to share this with some of the people close to me, and for safety reasons, I unfortunately can't always share it publicly, or maybe I don't want to because the kinds of backlash that you can get sometimes, and so it's just nice to share it with a few people. And I am so bad at keeping in touch with people and replying to messages, so if sharing some things on a little like close story, then that I think that is one way people can keep up with what I'm doing. Pattern we can see is too high for where you're working. So it is actually not. It's just that I am doing differently than what the pattern says. So we're on the second shelf from the bottom, and I just swapped it and slightly changed some of the heights. And I'm not marking off as I go for the moment. Although I was gonna start doing that. So let me do that for these. It's just, for whatever reason, I didn't last time I was doing this one, and I didn't want my stitch count to be off by marking them. Yeah, I'm just confusing everyone in every direction right now. That's my MO tonight. But anyway, yeah, sharing things publicly, sharing things privately. Let's move on to the next book, which I'm very excited about. We need to go to 832 Mustard, because this is literary and or film criticism, and in this case is film criticism. I finally read Hannah McGregor's Clever Girl, which is a book about Jurassic Park, the movie, mostly. For those who do not know, Hannah McGregor is just one of the best people in the world. Hannah is the co-host of the Material Girls podcast. They are a scholar out in, I believe, Vancouver in Canada, and they're a scholar of like materialist culture, materialist theory, and have done a few podcasts over the years, and brings sort of their like scholarly expertise, but also a lot of their like very fun and funny energy and pop culture knowledge to the podcasts. I cannot say enough about Hannah and the entire Material Girls / Witch Please like podcast network and creative team. They are all phenomenal, and I love their shows. And Hannah, about 2 years ago, I think, published this book, not their first one because they're an academic, so they publish a lot. But they published this book that is not very academic. It's called Clever Girl, and it is about, it's kind of like I'm sure I'm gonna get the words wrong, but like a feminist critique of Jurassic Park, queer theory, or queer critique of Jurassic Park. I am not an academic or a theorist in the way that Hannah is, so I'm sure I'm describing it incorrectly. Also, we've got an ad coming up shortly for those of you who see ads. Yeah, let me get the description of Clever Girl. You should read it, Hazel. It's so good. Okay, this is a smart and incisive exploration of everyone's favorite dinosaur movie and the female dinosaurs who embody what it means to be angry, monstrous, and free. The Jurassic Park series is one of the most famous and profitable cinematic experiences of all time, true, with an entire generation of people who have never known life without these CGI dinosaurs. But while the movie spectacle broke film and merchandising records, pioneered special effects, and made Jeff Goldblum into an unlikely sex symbol, it has also been re-envisioned as a classic of queer feminist storytelling. You love to hear it about Jurassic Park. So in Clever Girl, Hannah McGregor argues that the female-only dinosaurs of Jurassic Park are stand-ins for monstrous women, engineered by men to be intelligent, violent, and adaptive, and whose chaos resists the systems designed to control them. As they run wild through their prison, a profit-driven theme park, they destroy the men and structures who mistakenly believed in their own colonialist and capitalist power, showing the audience what it means to be angry, monstrous, and free. The Velociraptors were not just jump scares for children, but also revelatory and predatory symbols of feminist rage. Clever girls indeed. Yeah, it's so cool. It's really great. I mean, it talks a lot about like queerness. Like Hannah is, an ace non-binary person. So when we're talking about like representations of women and queerness, like it's a lot more nuanced than that, but it is also that like queer feminist take. And just about like, women's bodies and treatment in public, and like, just it gets into all the really good stuff, but through the lens of Jurassic Park and also the history of like spectacle and theme parks. Well, not theme parks so much as like the evolution of sideshows into displays of fossils into museums, and all of the ways that we have exploited different cultures over the years. It's very, very good. This is one that I did listen to in audiobook form first, but then immediately had to buy a copy, one, to support Hannah, and two, because I was just like, oh no, I gotta reread this many times. I gotta look back at it and cite it. I very, very much loved it. I am also like a massive Jurassic Park fan, so that's part of it. And like, for a movie that is just kind of a generic blockbuster, and especially the franchise that it has become, I think it felt really nice for me to have this like queer feminist reading of a movie that I had not thought of in that way before, and now I can kind of feel even more excited about the movie. Kind of like Fast and Furious. I love Fast and Furious, and I think it's okay to just like unironically love the movie for any of the like problematic things it does, or you might want to say that it has in it. But also, people have done a lot of queer and trans readings of Fast and Furious, notably Too Trans, Too Furious, the gender reveal, whatever the name of the pressed gender reveal the podcast started. It's like a collection of trans people's writing on the Fast and the Furious series, which then makes me like even more excited about the Fast and the Furious franchise, and now I have like a little like queer and trans connection to it and a reading of it on top of my existing connections to it. How was the audiobook? The audiobook was pretty good. It was not read by Hannah. It was read by an audiobook reader. There were a couple of things that I'm pretty sure were mispronounced, and so that bothered me a little bit. But otherwise was very good. Just like a very solid reading of the audiobook. No special frills or anything that you might find on like Audible originals sometimes. But yeah, it was really good. And I rewound many times to be like, wait, what was that little gem of brilliance that I just heard? I need to hear that again. I frequently forget about the double clicks, Hazel. I've only listened to them a little bit. But I might have to look up Clever Girl. I keep closing tabs so that I don't run my CPU too much. Okay. And I was going to update on the other aspects of my reading strategy. So far we have completing books in between reading new books, alternating back and forth, and listening to audiobooks, which I think just so far doesn't count into that. audiobooks can be new books. That's kind of the point of them, is that it's like getting books off of my TBR that probably I would not have otherwise ever gotten to. The third pillar, it's not really a pillar, just third thing that I've started doing is this is very new, but I think that I am going to start almost exclusively reading novels before bed. As someone who reads a lot of nonfiction, that's like a big deal. But I often don't want to read the nonfiction right before bed. Like sometimes I do, but I think a lot of the nonfiction I read is, if not overt research, it's like slightly low-key research, and so I'm always wanting to annotate it and think of things and take notes, and so I don't always want to do that right before bed because I'm trying to like wind down and fall asleep. And so I will often go on the internet before bed, like not usually scrolling social media where I have like friends or followers, but scrolling things like Reddit, like subreddits, or sometimes like really long Wikipedia pages. Used to be Tumblr, sometimes still Tumblr. And I don't touch social media very often during the day. So I've for a long time sort of excused it that way of like, oh, this is the one time in the day that I really use social media. But it's still not great because like I'm still on my phone and like, yeah, I have the blue light turned off and dark mode and whatever, but it still stimulates my brain enough that I stay up maybe later than I want to. And then I was like, what if I just like allow myself only before bed to read a novel that I know is gonna keep my interest and that I'll be so excited to read that I won't even want to open social media before bed. And I, will probably only read like 3 pages each night because I'll fall asleep really quick, a little bit more healthily. But like I'll be excited enough to read it. And that has been working really well for like a week. And I think that slightly won't count in the like alternating books thing either, because that's like the third book that I'm reading. So I think what I've ended up with is reading 4 books at a time. I have the main book that I'm reading. That's like what I read in the morning, what I take with me when I go somewhere I need something to read, just my anytime pretty much book. And then I have audiobook, which is a different book. And then I have nighttime novel. And then I also have like research reading. So I've got like blocks during the day that on a good day I sit down and I read and I take notes. And that's also not always books. Sometimes it's, academic articles and whatnot. So that's like 4 books that I'm reading at a time. But it's a more structured 4 books. Whereas in the past, it's like very chaotic. I'm just kind of like snacking on books left and right. And I feel like there are definitely some pitfalls that could be had in this strategy. But I think it's a fairly organized way to go about things. Got like a fun novel to read before bed, audiobook to listen to, so I'm, listening to some of those books I thought I'd never get to, research books that have to be read, and then a book that's more often than not probably going to be kind of nonfiction and like low-key research that will be for the rest of the day. And that will alternate between ones that I've completed and new ones. Thank you, Tom, for validating the 4 books at once strategy. I know a lot of people do that. So love to find others who are like that, because there are some people who are so strictly 1 book at a time. They're very, very monogamous, monogamous and exclusive kind of readers. And that has almost never been me. Oh, and Hazel, thanks for more on the double clicks. Good to know they have a second Jurassic Park song beyond Clever Girl. That'd be very fun. Okay, so that was Clever Girl. Oh my gosh, and now we get to do a fiction book. This is the first, I think... No, that can't be true. Yeah, this is the first general fiction book I've read all year. I read 1 historical fiction before this. And I think that's it? Or did I read horror? I don't have all of the books on this paper. Let me look at my Notion database. I read. Oh no, okay. I've read 2 novels before this year. I read 11/22/63 by Stephen King, which is categorized as horror, and then I read Hamnet, which is historical fiction. Um, so then I read 1984. Finally. That is going to be Red Violet. That's going to be this. I'm calling it Red Violet. I don't have the DMC descriptions pulled up right now, but we're doing this color. Yeah, got a classic in. I guess I could have categorized this as like classics, but I just stuck to general fiction, thinking I'll probably have more of those than other classics. I read like a complete set of George Orwell essays when I was in high school. I read Animal Farm when I was in like 8th grade. He has, for most of my life, been one of my favorite writers, and somehow I did not read 1984 until this year. It's been very close to the top of my TBR for a long time. I guess you could say for 20 years at this point, and I only finally got to it. Medium Garnet is what this 815 color is called. Thank you so much, Joe. Also, I don't need this whole piece. What are we gonna do here? We're gonna... Let's see. But yeah, so the reason I finally read it is because I've been really wanting to read a book called Orwell's Roses by Rebecca Solnit. I don't know if anyone watching is familiar with Rebecca Solnit. She is a very prolific writer. She's written so many books and also writes just a lot of like op-eds and stuff like that. And just kind of like a cultural critic would maybe be the way to describe her. And I don't think I've actually read a whole book of hers. I've read excerpts and I've read her articles. But I have thought that I think that she writes in a style that the style is not similar to mine, but maybe like the structure is what I'm trying to get at with some of my creative nonfiction that's a little bit more like personal essay, creative nonfiction kind of thing. So I've been like, oh, I need to read more Rebecca Solnit. Orwell's Roses is maybe her least famous book, but it is one that I think I found for free somewhere and was like, heck yeah, I love George Orwell. So I've had it for years, and I keep being like, okay, if I'm gonna study Rebecca Solnit, I need to read this book. But then I started reading it and saw that towards the end of it, she was going to do sort of like a reanalysis of 1984. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get much out of that if I haven't read 1984. So I stopped reading Orwell's Roses to read 1984, and then have done a very poor job of going back to Orwell's Roses since then. So that should probably be the next book I tackle. But I'm stuck on a very long nonfiction book right now, so I haven't gotten back to it. She had an essay collection in John Green's online book club years ago. That is so cool, and in many ways not surprising, but I don't think I knew that there was sort of like overlap there. So that's really, really, really cool. I also barely remember John's online book club. That sounds fun. Let's see. Tom thinking he would not want to reread 1984. It might be too topical. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of stuff in it that I was like, oof. I think I wouldn't want to reread it because the last, like, third or quarter of the book is just horrifying and really graphic, and I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but it kind of took me a while to trudge through the last bit of the book, and I did not enjoy it. I was really enjoying everything up to that point, enjoying in a dystopian, terrible way. But yeah, towards the end of the book, didn't love that. And so I don't think I would want to reread that again, as much as I love Orwell and as much as I liked the rest of the book. I'll be very curious what Rebecca Solnit has to say about it. Life's Library. That does sound familiar. Yeah, Joe, especially as a high schooler, I could see that. I think upset is actually the right word. I was upset by it. I think I just didn't expect it to be that extreme. Yeah. when I was talking about not finishing as many books in the second half of the year, the main reason I was saying that, or there's two main reasons. One is I don't know how long my audiobook phase is going to keep up. I think it's very likely that I'm going to, get back into podcasts and YouTube videos, and even if I try to do a balance, that will still mean not getting through audiobooks quite as quickly, which I think is fine, because I miss a lot of my podcasts and YouTube videos that I watch and try to keep up with. But the other reason is that I've been stuck on longer books for a while, and so I think that might just slow me down. I have been reading a book called American Canopy for a while, which is kind of like it is the history of trees in the United States. A little bit more of a political history, for a history of trees, that is. And it's fascinating and I love it, but man, it takes me, my speed is about 3 to 4 minutes a page on that book. So that's been taking a really long time. I've been reading that since like the end of April, while reading all these other books. And then I also started talking about rereading. I started rereading A Discovery of Witches. This was a little bit like why I read 1984. I read A Discovery of Witches years ago. It took me so long to read it that I did not finish the trilogy at that time. I was like, no, I gotta move on to something else. Even though part of why I even read the series was because I was excited about the sequel, Shadow of Night. But it still took so long to read A Discovery of Witches, the first book, that I was like, nope, gotta read something else, and that was years ago. And so then when I had this whole idea of like, I'm gonna read a novel to go to sleep, what's one of the novels I own that I've been the most excited to read, and it was Shadow of Night. So I started reading it, and I was like, wow, I remember nothing about A Discovery of Witches. And I like tried looking up some synopses online, and they weren't enough for me. So I was like, maybe I just have to reread A Discovery of Witches. And I'm enjoying it so much. I like love this book. But also it's so long and so dense, as will be its sequels, that I might just be stuck on those and the tree history book for a really long time. So we'll see if I ever read any other books again. Oh, Hazel, thanks for the update. What is the Lego set? Well, you said you're designing it. That's really cool. If you can say, because I know it's a gift for someone, so maybe you don't want to say it publicly, but if you can say it, I'd love to hear kind of what the design is. Oh man, Sarah, that's a rough read of like humor laced through the whole way and then the ending making you sob. I feel like I've had that experience with a few things. I think I love that sometimes. I do love a book or a TV show or a film that can hold both of those emotions together, of just like laugh out loud but then absolute emotional gut punch. Like, that is prime art to me. Wow, Witches and Trees, Tom. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I do. That's kind of my things. It's a strawberry matcha latte Lego set. That sounds tasty, but also probably looks very cool. All right, so the next book that I finished, this was another audiobook. I lost my storefront. I want to go back to it so that I can see. Ah! No, I'm dropping all the pages. Did I drop any important ones? No, let's throw the rest on the ground. Next one I read was very much inspired by having just read Clever Girl. So I went deep into my TBR of books that I had bookmarked long ago to possibly read. And I read one called The Monster's Bones, The Discovery of T-Rex and How It Shook the World by David K. Randall. So this was sort of the history of early paleontologists, and specifically the ones who were getting funding by museums like the New York Natural History Museum and the Field Museum in Chicago, to put the fossils on display. And this was like the fossil hunting era, and all of the fights, the bone wars, as it was called at the time, the bone wars that ensued after the discovery of T-Rex especially, but also some other very big dinosaurs. This was one that was like a very solid choice for my new strategy of nonfiction books that I can listen to like a podcast. There was like lots of cool things that I learned, and I remember some of it, but I'm also so okay with not remembering everything because that is not my wheelhouse. It's just something I'm fascinated by, and I do feel like it gave a little bit of a deeper level to some of the things brought up in Clever Girl, because Hannah got a little bit into this history and mentioned some names that then when I listened to the Monster's Bones, I was like, oh, that guy, cool. Monster's Bones is history, as so many things I read are. So we're going 781 is Dark Mustard, and we get to start a new shelf. There would technically be space if I wanted to add more books here, but as far as the pattern goes, if I want to keep it to the 24 for now, I'm going to go ahead and start on this next shelf. I also got to do a little bit of floss cleanup here. Okay, so we got a little bit of an update on Hazel's Lego designing. How is everyone else's crafting and or dinnering going, or working, whatever you're doing while you listen to me yap about books? Anthropocene reviewed best as an audiobook. You know, for some reason, that hadn't occurred to me. Anthropocene reviewed, for folks who don't know, is John Green's kind of collection of essays. It's a nonfiction book, and he first kind of put it out as a podcast. Many of the essays in the book are revised versions of episodes of a podcast that he put out prior to the book being published. So that makes so much sense that it would be great to listen to as an audiobook. I'm assuming John reads it. But I think I was gifted a couple of copies of that book, actually. And so I think because I own the physical book, I've always been like, oh yeah, I'm going to read it someday. I actually still have not read it. Mostly because when that book came out, I was hosting the daily podcast, The Cool Stuff Ride Home, where I just talked about like cool things in the news or in history or in science on every episode. And I felt like the Anthropocene Reviewed was in a way a little bit too close to what I was doing. And as someone who like has watched John and Hank Green on the internet and read their stuff since I was 17, I feel like I'm always having to make sure that I'm not like adapting their speech patterns or their writing styles subconsciously. And so I very purposefully did not read the Anthropocene Reviewed when I was working on that podcast because it just felt too close. I've listened to some of the episodes. The Auld Sang Lin episode I actually listened to repeatedly. It's one I go back to a lot. I love it. Yeah, and I haven't read John's tuberculosis book yet either, for similar reasons, where I'm just like, I've been working really hard on my creative nonfiction voice, and I worry that reading John's stuff will make me maybe subconsciously imitate some of it, or even make me sad that I can't do it as well as him. Like, I think I have a lot of emotions tied up in that. So it's yeah, that's why I'm behind on John's books. I'm really excited for his upcoming novel though, because I've always been fascinated by Andy Warhol and The Factory. So I think that's going to be a great book that I'm looking forward to. But I have not paid too much attention to his many interviews and announcements about it yet. But in theory, I'm very excited. Sarah's starting the new cross stitch that she's hoping to give to her mom. Exciting. You should share what it is if you feel you can. Tom has stitched the entire massive word potatoes and now is loading the dishwasher. What a productive evening, Tom. Actually, the whole word potatoes, depending on like what font you're using, could have taken a really long time. I just think it's very funny without any context for what the rest of the pattern is. I want to pretend that you've just decided to start stitching random words or like cross-stitching your grocery list. Joe says Mikey made spaghetti. Yeah, and it sounded delicious. Working on a Metal Earth brand discovery space shuttle project. Whoa. That sounds really cool. Is that a knitting or crochet thing? Because I assume you're saying Mikey is working on that. I don't know the Metal Earth brand, so I'm not sure what craft that's referring to. Whoa, I forgot that there was a vinyl recording of Anthropocene Reviewed. Yeah, I was tempted to get some of that vinyl stuff. That was a really funny sale. He has an essay that's exclusive to the physical book and one that's exclusive to audio. That makes sense. I actually thought there were more differences than that, but at least doing that makes sense. Joe's starting over the fox. Tension was so tight you could see the circles between stitches. Wow, I never care about that. I probably should, but I often don't. That also might be part of why I like, I lean towards like linen and even weave and 18 count Aida and stuff like that, because then I don't have to care as much because it's harder for the circles to show in between when they're smaller. Sarah, you saying you cry listening to the Auld Lang Syne episode? Because same, absolute same. I would say when I want to cry about the beauty and not horror, but I don't know, power of life. It's a good one to listen to. Okay, so Cross Stitch for Your Mom, European Bee Eater by Amity Phillips. Bee Eater sounds fun. I might have to look that up later. Oh, Metal Earth is metal miniatures. Ooh, and Space Shuttle Discovery. Okay, that sounds really, really cool. Yeah, Tom, you should consider cross-stitching your grocery list. Strong recommend. Yeah, Sarah, that's really interesting about live performance versus recorded. And, like, the different emotions that it can make in us, or, you know, affect in us. I don't think this floss is going to be enough for what I need, but it's what I have. Okay, so we're doing Monster's Bones. Maybe I'll just actually follow what's here. Yeah, all of the next books coming up on the list were pretty big. So, yeah, I'm just going to actually follow the pattern. How about that? How about that for a change? Just following the pattern. Even if anyone watching is like, I barely know who John Green is, or I don't know at all, or I don't think I like his stuff, I do recommend the podcast episode of the Anthropocene Reviewed titled Auld Lang Syne, like the song you sing on New Year's. I think that's the title of the episode. If it's not, it's in the description because that's what it's partially about. I think that's the one that even Ryan Reynolds was like, I've listened to that so many times and cry every time. Was it Ryan Reynolds? It was one of those like really big Hollywood actors that the two of them somehow had an interview with. Well, you don't have to listen and cry right now, Hazel. You can listen to it another time and cry. Oh no. Ugh. This floss is already too short. Schedule your crying. I mean, exactly. That is the benefit of like having a piece of media that you know makes you cry, as you can schedule out your crying. Like, here's when I need a good cry. I'm gonna listen to this or watch this. Yeah, it's a pretty emotional song in general. And I think New Year's is, and it can be for me, an emotional time. You're just thinking so much about like there's so much like reflection of the past year, but also hopes and dreams for the coming year. That's a lot. There can be a lot of weightiness to that, in with the excitement as well. The Memory Palace by Nate Demio is excellent if you like the general vibe of Anthropocene Reviewed, and it also exists as a podcast and book. I'm gonna write that one down. That sounds really cool. I like the name. Reminds me of Sherlock Holmes. I know Sherlock Holmes did not invent that concept, but that's what I always think of. Podcast and radio series by public radio producer Nate Demio. Monthly historical podcast that debuted in 2008? How have I not heard of this? That's wild. I can't believe that's been around for so long and I haven't heard of it. Like, I know the world and the internet are big places, but I do feel like most especially history podcasts that have been around since the aughts, I have at least heard about if I haven't listened to. So what are we doing? Oh, we're still doing Monsters Bones. I kind of took a little break from stitching while I talked about other stuff. So we're still on the Monsters Bones. Okay, someone bringing humanity to people who have existed is... I love that. Okay. This recommendation of The Memory Palace might be the way that I stop listening to audiobooks for a while, because I'll get excited and want to listen to all of the episodes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Phew. Okay, good. Ooh. There was an episode where he started talking about one historical figure and it ended up being about another, and seemed like it was very deliberate. I love that. My favorite thing is to write things where people think I'm talking about one thing, and then it becomes clear that's not actually what this was about. Alright, this floss is done. I'm gonna have to use the other really small piece, but then that will be just enough for this one. And I got 2 more history books coming up, and I can have a fresh piece of floss for them. And that will work out just fine. The fun drink tonight is Athletic Brewing, the great non-alcoholic beer company. We got a Free Wave Hazy IPA. But the most important part of this announcement is that it's orange. That's the most important part about anything that's orange, is it's orange. How long has this been out of focus? I'm gonna actually put you on manual now. Kind of. I don't remember if people remember. I feel like it was maybe 2 or 3 streams ago, which means quite a while ago, that I broke my camera lens. So I'm using an old kit lens from a different camera for streaming right now. And it's fine. In some ways, slight improvement, but there's also some things about it that are a little slightly off or a little annoying. I had forgotten about that development until I started setting up for the stream tonight, which is part of why I bring it up. Looking at my calendar now. I'm trying to remember. Today's the 22nd. Huh. Yeah, I think that I can't stream next week. It looks like I have rehearsal, which is, I think, the only Monday rehearsal that this show is going to have. Is very exciting initially to get the rehearsal schedule and see that there were pretty much no Monday rehearsals, and we do not have shows on Mondays. So for the most part, it's not getting in the way of the stream. Oh, he's got an episode on Stonewall that he re-airs. That's awesome. Am I able to share anything about the show? Yes, I was just getting to that. So allegedly tickets are live. They haven't sent us the link yet, and I haven't gone searching. But if anyone is in the general New England area, the show will be in Connecticut. Opening night is July 10th, and it's running through the end of August. There will be 1 or 2 nights that I'm not in the show, but that hasn't been settled yet, and that'll probably most likely be in August. So I'll try to let folks know if I know. I mean, you should still come see the show anyways, even if I'm not in it, because it's very cool. It is a new original play called The Slippery Truth. And it takes place during the American Revolution. because this is New England and it's America 250, so everything is about the Revolutionary War right now. Um, and it is a production done by a really cool organization called Plays in Place, which puts on shows throughout New England. There's one happening up in northwestern Massachusetts. There's one happening in Newport. I think there's one maybe happening closer to Boston. That's just for this summer. They do shows mostly in the summers, but like they've been around for a good few years, I think. This is my first time being involved. I saw one of their shows last year and it was very fun. And basically the idea with Plays in Place is that they sort of pair local playwrights with museums and historic sites, and they write plays about like what happened there. So then you are performing something that happened in the place that it happened, like from history. So the play that I am in takes place at Old Newgate Prison in Connecticut, which was the nation's first state prison. Not a great claim to fame. And for the entire time it was a prison, I think the prison actually was down in the old copper mines. So it's like down in the mines is where the prisoners were kept. And at the time in which our play takes place, the prisoners were like British loyalists or like loyalists to Britain. So I don't feel quite as complicated about the ethics of the prison industrial complex and stuff, because it was sort of more like the British were doing much worse things to American prisoners than the Americans were doing to these British prisoners, even with this being one of the more notorious American prisons for people loyal to the British crown. And it is about a prison break, and it's about the prisoners escaping from the prison. And yeah, it's very cool. It's a little bit of like a whodunit, and it's very much meant to, you know, get you to question like, what is the truth? What would you have done in this circumstance? And how does someone's truth or maybe someone's motives change, not necessarily even based on like their core ethics, but just about the situation in which they find themselves. So it asks a lot of cool questions like that. But the coolest thing about it, in my opinion, is that it takes place kind of all over this historic site of what used to be a prison. So the first part of the show takes place inside in what was the guardhouse back in the day. And then the whole audience is going to go together down into the copper mines and walk through the copper mines in this like winding loop where prisoners were actually held back in the day. And they will hear like ambient audio being performed of Act 2. So like we won't be there. You'll just hear us as you walk through the mines. And then Act 3 is going to be out in the ruins of the chapel. I think that's just a really cool experience. There will also be an alternate accessible version that we were working on making like just as fun and cool. That's also going to be like the rain date version. So, you know, with a show that's a little bit more experiential and site specific, you've got to have all these different versions of it. But yeah, it's really, really cool. So if you're anywhere near New England, it looks like Joe found the ticket link, which I have never even looked at myself. So I'm gonna check that out. And I think we only seat like 50 people per show, so unclear if it's gonna like sell out. I feel like not, because it's running for so long. But yeah, if you're nearby in July and August, come see the show. Wow, cool. I haven't seen the site before. Okay, and it does talk about the mine and all kinds of accessibility information. Cool. Someone asked me recently, because I keep telling everyone about this, and someone was like, is that like meant to be a surprise? And I was like, I feel like for accessibility reasons it can't be, but also it feels like the coolest selling point to get people to come to the show. Yeah, Tom, it is claustrophobia is like one of the accessibility concerns, because even I, who am not claustrophobic, we got like a tour of the mines at our first rehearsal, and I was like, oh man, this is serious stuff. Yep, there's an accessible version of Act 2 that will be done indoors for folks who can't or don't want to go down to the mines. And okay, Hazel, I'm checking out your drink. I mean, I love the straw. The straw and like just the normal Lego texture comes across as kind of like bubbly foam, which is very cool. I think I agree with Sarah that if you have pink, like a more pinky than the red, that would probably read a little bit more strawberry matcha. But I guess it's also like strawberry colors, like, right? It's like the strawberry fruit. Either way, that's super cool that you designed it. That's really, and I like that like the rim is around the cup at the top. Yeah, very, very cool. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I gotta get back to stitching. I'm not gonna get through all of my books before I have to go tonight. Okay, so next up, gotta go to Memoir, which is 730 olive green. Oh good, I did get it out. A brief moment where I thought I didn't get this thread out. So there's our next color. And this is for Educated by Tara Westover. Big hit like 10 years ago. Been meaning to read it since it came out. Finally got to it. This was another audiobook. I feel like Memoir has always been a good audiobook choice for me personally. Just talking about kind of retention and like liking to hear the author read it when they do, although this was not read by Tara Westover. But I guess with memoirs, even when it's a different reader, sometimes it feels like it's the author, which is maybe not good. There's a knot in the middle of this floss. Maybe I'll cut it there. That won't be long enough. I might just say goodbye to that piece of floss. Yeah, thanks, Joe, and thanks for asking and for finding the ticket link. Has anyone else read Educated by Tara Westover? I know it was like such a bestseller on all the lists back when it came out, and I'm kind of behind on it, on getting to it. Not acceptable. Har har. That is true. That's why I decided. I decided it was not acceptable. Should make more not jokes in this line of work. this cross stitch line of work. But anyway, yes, I believe I have rehearsal next Monday. But shows are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we do not have many more rehearsal weeks left, so I will shortly be in performance mode. I'm also, for now, still not allowed to cut my hair for the show. TBD on if I will have a wig or not. If I have a wig, then I will be allowed to cut my hair. I will almost certainly have to shave my beard. So you might see some streams with me with no beard, which I don't feel great about, but this is gonna be what happens. And, you know, I figure I've never shaved my beard since I grew it out and since starting T. And there've been a couple times I almost have just out of curiosity. But I know there's some other trans folks in the chat right now, so I feel like I can chat about this and you'll get it. I feel like I definitely will get misgendered more without a beard. I definitely used to. I know I'm older and have been on T for many, many more years since growing out the beard, so hopefully it won't be like as bad as it was back then, but not looking forward to that. I think I just don't like how my face looks without a beard. But I do feel like if I'm doing it because it's like, oh, I'm in a show, I'm doing it for the art, and also I'm getting paid to do it, like, I feel like that's the best time to have shaved my beard and see what it's like, on the off chance that I'm like, oh, I'm not as scared of it as I thought, or like this would be okay sometimes. So we'll see how that goes. Money to pay for the therapy. I don't think it's that good of money. It is still theater. Yeah, I mean, I am still awaiting it. I have not directly been told, but I have sort of indirectly been told that I will have to shave my beard. Um, and I am waiting until someone tells me I have to do it, and the latest date at which I can do it. Yeah, I totally get it, Tom. Of I did the thing when I was starting T where I had the atrocious neck beard for way too long, which I feel like in hindsight I wouldn't do again, but at the same time I felt like having any facial hair, even if I didn't like how it looked, that helped me not get misgendered, you know, and helped me look like maybe a little bit older. Um, and so even though I didn't like how it looked, it felt better than not having it. Um, that's a different era of facial hair. You were like, you were just saying you don't have much. I was saying when I was earlier in transition and I didn't like how mine looked. Um, Joe, that's so kind of you. I'm not really sure. Um, because it could easily be one of those things where I feel like if you're all saying nice comments, I'll just be like, oh yeah, you're just doing that because I told you to. So I don't know. But again, hey, I could surprise myself. Maybe I won't hate it that much. And I'm not like worried in the context of the show. Um, but I hope I don't have to like go too many places or see too many people. And fortunately, I won't really have to because I'm going to be really busy when I'm not doing the show. Because the other thing, on top of lots of travel and illness, and doing another show before starting rehearsals for this show, is that I've also been working on moving. uh, Not super far away, not another big move. For those of you who know me from other things, I moved here from New York City almost 2 years ago, and it was a very big deal in my life, and I made a lot of content about it. I am staying here in New England. I'm just moving a little bit closer to where I wanted to be the whole time, and I'm super excited about it. But it has been quite exhausting, as moving always is, and literally just just recently we got approved for a place, and so the search part is done. There's a lot of other logistics to do and all the packing to do and the actual moving of the stuff to do. But that's another reason that I was kind of gone from stream. I think the last time, because last week I was out of town, but the week before that I was planning on streaming, and I knew I was gonna have to miss so many for like the show and for travel, but I was just so exhausted from like touring houses and putting in applications and the emotional roller coaster of figuring it all out, and I was like, I just need a night off. So that was part of why I was gone. So thank you all for the support there. But yeah, I think between the show, where I won't care about not having a beard, because that's why I don't have one, and then like all of my free time just being like at home packing things up, I think it will actually be a time that I'm not really seeing that many people. I'm not going to have much of a social life or anything. So, you know, in a way, it's good timing. Sarah asks about clothes I can wear to help me feel more affirmed. Um, you know, I think that's actually part of why I'm having a little bit more trouble with it, is that I have not felt great about like my body and my clothes for a while now. And so I think if I were feeling better about that, then I wouldn't care as much. But that's like a compounding factor. But that is definitely something I've been thinking about, of like, okay, how can I dress the most masculine and have like the most masculine like gait and voice and everything to offset any chances of being misgendered? Or how do I just like make peace with that? Like make peace with being misgendered? Yeah. We shall see. Northeast Texas. Oh, okay. Hazel took me a second. I gotcha. But yeah, moving is the exciting thing right now. A handful of tasks still to do that I'm not overly looking forward to. but we're like we're pretty close to just the exciting part, which will be fun. Okay, we'll talk more about that in a minute. For now, that was Educated. Oh, you know what? The 8 o'clock didn't go off. I was waiting to tell time based on 8 o'clock. Oh well, I'll just close Firebot. I must not have activated something. Look, now it says it's connecting after I shut it down. Wild. Okay, so I need to actually be wrapping up. We have 3 more books that I did not get to. But I do need to wrap up soon. I needed to end shortly after 8. I will tell you the books. I'll do more book tracker later, like on another stream probably, because maybe I'll read a ton of books again. But I also read A Disability History of the United States. Strong recommend. Beacon Press has a whole collection of, like, they've got a queer history of the United States, indigenous peoples history of the United States, and disability history of the United States. If you're a US history person, they're really great. You get to hear a lot of stories from people that you've maybe never heard of otherwise in history, and just like have a really cool lens of relooking at history. So that was a great read. And then I also listened to Prairie Fires by Caroline Fraser. Subtitle of that is The American Dreams of Laura Ingalls Wilder. So if you are someone who watched A Little House on the Prairie, or have any like slight interest in that, it's a really good, it's like a deep biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder and her daughter Rose. And yeah, if you don't know anything about their complicated history or how much was left out of Little House on the Prairie, it's a great read. I'm excited about the new Netflix series coming out, but I'm very skeptical about it as well. There's a new adaptation of Little House on the Prairie coming out from Netflix. For people who don't know, I think it might literally be coming out like next week. Oh my god, of course it's tied around July 4th. I'm just now connecting the dots on that. Yeah, I might not agree with that series. Might not be my thing. I'm trying to, ascertain right now, is it going to be like a trad wife, fever dream, or is it going to be maybe a little bit accurate in its portrayals of what frontier life was actually like? That's one of the critiques of the Little House books, and especially the 1960s, 70s TV series, especially a TV series, was that it just cut out like how hard that lifestyle was, and how so many people who are subsistence farmers actually received a lot of government benefits and had to have other jobs and stuff. And it reminds me a lot about like trad wife influencers these days, making it look like, or like homesteaders too, a lot of homesteader influencers who are a little less honest about the experience, and it seems like it's this like great easy lifestyle of freedom, but really there's a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes, or you're employing a lot of people to do your hard work. It's also a lot like being an influencer or a content creator, of you usually don't show how much of the hard work is behind it and the other gigs that you have to make it happen. All of these things wrapped up together. Which brings me to the next book I finished, which was Yesteryear, the novel. And I would love to talk to more people about that book if anyone has read it. It is a novel that just came out. I think before it was published, I got on the library wait lists, and I was like the 1500th person in line. And as I waited, my libraries were acquiring dozens of more copies of the book because everyone wanted to read it. It was a Good Morning America pick, but also Anne Hathaway literally bought the rights to the movie adaptation before the book even came out. So it was like a huge thing. If you haven't heard about it, Yesteryear is a novel about a tradwife influencer who finds herself back in the 1800s and like having to live in this world that she was sort of hyping up, and like, can she survive in that world? So that is obvious why it went so viral, and also why I was so interested in reading it. And it was not at all what I expected it to be, and I still loved it. It was great. Recommend it. Yeah, Tom, exactly. The new Little House, either very good or very, very bad. But Prairie Fires is an older book that everyone always recommends as a like. If you want to throw some cold water on the myth of Little House on the Prairie, read Prairie Fires. Oh, okay, Joe, gotta check out this Etsy link for most masculine thing possible to wear. Let's see, what do you got? Oh yeah, there you go. I mean, the number of hats I own that are listed as vintage washed dad hat already is. In fact, I have one that says plant daddy. So does that count? Yeah, maybe I should. I'll just like lean into maybe not daddy, but like dad stuff. I'll pretend I am actually a father. Just wear a lot of like like yeah, pretend anything that could have like gendered language like that, whether or not it is true for me in the way of having children. Okay, so much more to say and to do, but I need to go for tonight, and I'll try to remember to post on stories because I'm pretty sure that I have rehearsal next week and cannot be here. But then after that should pretty much be in the clear for the foreseeable future. And throughout July, some of this in the background might start going away or going into boxes. And then sometime in August might be a whole new background, which is exciting because I set up this office before I really started streaming. And so I didn't really set it up with streaming in mind, and so maybe I can be a little bit more strategic next time. I could also be dapper and wear three-piece suits. You know, that is a thing I would like to do. It's like a thing that I've really thought about. A lot of stylistic things that I have thought about but not quite been able to crack practically yet. That is among them. Okay. Thank you all so much for returning when I didn't even make any kind of announcement. Thank you for your patience when I made very limited announcements about not being here while I was sick and traveling and moving and rehearsing. And yeah, I look forward to streaming as much as I can this summer, and a bit more regularly in the fall. And I hope you all got a little bit of good work done on your crafts and had some good dinners. And I'm excited to see you all again in a couple of weeks. And we're gonna not raid because I ran late for the schedule that I had for myself, but it was very, very fun getting to chat with you all again. And I look forward to next time. Hope you all have a fantastic 2 weeks, most likely, but at least the next week have a good week. All right, bye everyone.